For much of the AI revolution, one narrative dominated. The established giants were too slow, too bureaucratic, losing the future to nimble startups. Google, the original AI superpower, seemed to confirm this failure. The 2023 launch of its first major competitor to ChatGPT Bard was a widely publicized diplomatic embarrassment. It was crashing the company's stock and solidifying the view that Silicon Valley's old guard was collapsing under its own weight. In the race for artificial general intelligence, or AGI, failure is not just an investor problem, it's a national security crisis. The control of AGI represents the most significant geopolitical leverage of the 21st century. The ability to model markets, design advanced weaponry, or master information ecosystems hinges on possessing the world's most capable AI. Then, last week, came a strategic pivot that rewrote the entire AI power map. The release of Gemini 3 was not just an iteration, it was a demonstration of overwhelming force. The market reacted instantly, pumping Google's stock to an all-time high, but the real impact lies in the data. Gemini 3 Pro didn't just compete, it swept every major benchmark test in the industry. These aren't just academic comparisons, these benchmarks are proxies for general intelligence. They test the model's capacity for complex reasoning, problem solving across diverse domains, and handling vast, multimodal data. When a single model dominates so comprehensively, it signals a significant lead in the core technology that fuels national power. For nations and corporations relying on competing models like OpenAI's offerings or those from Anthropic, this performance gap presents a severe risk. It forces governments and research institutions to reconsider whose technological spine they are building their future upon. In this war for global intellectual control, a model that is not even close to its competitors, as the data suggests, is a decisive advantage, establishing a temporary technological hegemon in the space. But AI supremacy isn't only about the model itself, it's about controlling the infrastructure that builds the next generation of AI applications. And this is where Google's strategy moved from dominance to ecosystem control. Alongside Gemini 3, Google unveiled a new initiative called Anti-Gravity. While labeled as a VS Code fork or coding environment, its true significance lies in its origin and its function. This platform is the direct result of Google's $2.4 billion acquisition of the core team behind the company Windsurf. This was not a talent grab, it was a strategic capture of a technology designed for agentic coding, the process of using AI to manage and execute complex software development tasks with minimal human input. By integrating this acquired technology, now packaged as anti-gravity with Gemini 3, Google is doing more than just giving developers a tool. They are attempting to standardize development and forcing the world's AI developers onto their platform. Then capture intellectual creativity by funneling the creation of all future AI agents through their ecosystem. And finally, redefine labor by elevating the human role from coder to manager of agents, ensuring the machine remains the core operating system. This is a deep dive maneuver controlling the infrastructure that defines the future of work and software, ensuring their model not only wins the benchmark race, but also wins the long game of economic and technological dependency. Despite these colossal strides, the rollout highlighted the internal risks that almost cost Google the AI war in the first place: bureaucratic confusion and lack of clarity. In the wake of anti-gravity, other Google-owned AI editors and development platforms like IDX and Jules have either been suddenly rebranded, absorbed, or seemingly discarded in a messy wave of internal consolidation. IDX is now Firebase Studio, Jules is still an autonomous agent. This chaotic reorganization underscores a critical vulnerability. While the core technology, Gemini 3, is peerless, the lack of a cohesive, unified product strategy risks alienating the very developers and enterprises they are trying to capture. For the geopolitical analysis, this is important. Even a technological giant is not immune to internal friction. The failure to clearly integrate or retire competing internal products speaks to the intense pressure and speed required to maintain a lead against rivals like the ambitious teams at OpenAI and Microsoft, and the state-backed efforts in China. So, has Google killed OpenAI? Not entirely, but they have successfully reclaimed the technological lead and, more importantly, demonstrated a coherent strategy to control the development pipeline of AGI. This achievement complicates the current geopolitical landscape. It forces the West to rely on a single dominant corporate entity for its most critical future technology. It also changes the equation for China, whose national AI strategy now faces an even higher benchmark to overcome. The race for AGI is not about an operating system, it's about the operating system for human civilization. And with Gemini 3, Google has just sent a powerful message. They intend to write the code for the next era of global power. We want to hear your thoughts. Does this new model signal a decisive victory, or does the internal confusion point to deep structural issues? Subscribe to Onion Essay for more deep dives into the stories and strategies shaping our world. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next analysis.